Let's get ready to Star Wars. It's episode 57 of the Star Wars.
Wait a minute.
Welcome, Star Wars Reporter Podcast. Well, we get sued for copyright for singing that song.
I think we're so off key, no one's going to.
Yeah, their algorithm won't catch that.
Yeah, no.
Unrecognizable.
We broke it.
We broke. That's very true. Welcome, guys, to the last of the series. What was it? 11 films that we look back at in the series, and I'm still recovering from last week's, but this should be a little better.
You made it through.
He did.
I know.
You would have been, Jen. You would have been proud of him.
I was in a fetal position crying for days, but I'm here now. So thank you, everyone. If you're in the chat, be sure to comment and let us know what you think of our topic tonight, which is going to be Rise of Skywalker. So this is, this is going to be kind of a mixed bag again, I think, for all of us. But before we get to that, just want to remind everyone to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on this YouTube channel. You can also, if you're an old person, check us out on Facebook, and then there's Instagram and Twitter. I said old person because that's apparently what my kids say that Facebook is for now.
That's what my kids say all the time too.
And of course, for the latest and greatest in news in Star Wars, and everyone agrees, check us out, StarWarsReporter.com.
It's a fantastic site. Fantastic site.
And also, happy Tuscan Tuesday. Wow.
That was good, Jen. That was really good.
Out my village.
I said for years, I've always said, girls just don't seem to have the ability to do sound effects. That was really good.
I thought that was Todd doing it. I literally thought that was Todd.
I'm impressed, and I'm not trying to be, discriminating against women's sound effects abilities. I just haven't heard it, right? Like,
I do my own sound effects all the time. Like, that is like my own personal soundtrack.
Oh. We should have the end of the show. Maybe everybody do their Star Wars blaster impersonation sound effect.
I don't think I've ever tried that one.
I thought I perfected mine pretty good as a youth. I wonder if I can still do it today.
Yeah, it was the whole back in the day. Yeah. It's funny. I hope my wife can't hear me, but I remember when we were first dating. This is why I'm whispering right now. But when we were first dating, and I forget how it came up, but I said something about like the blasters in Star Wars or something, and then she did her sound effects. She did her sound effect
pew, pew.
For a blaster. No, it wasn't even that. It went beam.
Aww.
That way whispering. Everyone's like turning up their volume, trying to hear what you're saying. Beam, 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 beam.
It was so funny.
That's like a plasma shot from another science fiction.
I still cry when look at me whenever I think of that. It's so funny.
And you still married her, so like, wow, you got
real love, right there.
The other way around, I think. Yeah. The other way around.
Are you saying she settled? Is that what you're saying, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to say it, but I say it.
I'm sure mine feels like she lost a bet sometimes too, but
So after we discuss the Rise of Skywalker, we're going to come up. We're going to go through our top 11 list of our own lists of what we think is first to last.
We should go last to first.
That's so hard, though. I don't want to put any of them last.
I did it literally 2 minutes before we went on the air. Oops, don't want to give it away.
Really? You don't want to?
You don't have one last. The last one's so easy, Jen. So easy.
It's not.
Here.
The bottom three were very easy.
It feels like a betrayal to put any of them last. Like, it hurts my heart.
No, it didn't.
Any of them should be last.
One I did so easily. Didn't have to think about it. After this deep dive in these films, it was very clear cut which one's the last one. In my opinion, I'm sure you have a much better painted palette of what you saw, but yeah. Where do we begin, Steve? Where do we begin? Episode 9.
Episode 9. So
So when you guys went to go see this one in the theater, I'm assuming, right? You guys
Yes.
all thought,
Yes.
so like I'm just curious about how all your moods, like after the last one that shall not be named, what do you remember your mood going into this
Yes.
one? Do you remember like walking into the theater and being like, what were you like? What was your mental state?
Here's for me. So I really love what J.J. Abrams did with Force Awakens. I thought they did such a fantastic job. I was going, okay, you know what? He's got a big task coming in. I even thought, like, you know what? He didn't really want to do this one because he didn't really originally put his name into it. He didn't want to do the second one, right? So I had a mixed bag going in, like how he's going to pull this off and tie it all together. But I saw the trailer and I thought they gave away too much in the trailer, but what I pieced in my head was going to happen was totally different from what I saw. So going in, I was very excited because J.J. Abrams was back in control. So that's how I felt going into it. I was really super excited about it. The trailer really left a really good hint of what I thought was going to happen. And it's possible that it wasn't exactly what I thought.
Well, like the trailer did give the Emperor's voice. Remember that was like the thing in the trailer. Like there's that tiny little bit of like the Emperor might be back.
Yes,
but it was of just a voice. So,
it's just a voice, which was awesome, which I thought was really, really good. Even like I don't remember. I think the Dark Ray, the twin lightsaber folded out. I think that's like the second trailer that came out. But there's a whole bunch of stuff, like C-3PO saying, looking at his friends. I just, I feel like I'm going to say goodbye to my friends. Or saying bye to my friends for the last time. Like, oh no, I thought for sure C-3PO is going to sacrifice himself, do the big play, and then do something epic that's going to like maybe bring down, help and it just ended up being nothing. It was such a big disappointment. Dude,
so you think C-3PO should have died? Like you think he should have like stayed
that would have been fantastic.
You monster, Todd. You monster.
He should have a hero. Because the prequels ruined C-3PO.
They've already wiped him once. Like, just wipe him again.
Well, just he could have done a big play. He just could have done the big play to save the universe, right? Like he could have done something. Like I thought as the movie's building up, when they're trying to knock down the navigational device, I thought he was going to do something like plug him in, and he was going to take it down and then sacrifice himself to do it, right? And he came back as annoying as ever. So it's like, But anyway, so that's how I felt going into it. Jason, what do you think going into it?
I went into it as open-minded as possible. Like I thought that after The Last Jedi kind of sank in, and again, as we know, I didn't react badly to The Last Jedi initially. I still do like some of it, but as time went on, I remember thinking, all right, Abrams is coming back, and I'm like, I just hope this isn't the patchwork. Let's fix this that everyone was saying it was going to be. And Rise of Skywalker turned out to be, to me, 100%. Let's fix this. And this was almost my Last Jedi, I have to say. This movie was probably the most disappointing Star Wars movie for me. The movie, it didn't live up to its own expectations for me. Here's one huge thought. And when I've watched it a couple times, I actually watched it a couple times this past week, and what I initially thought, the first 20 minutes of this movie, I was like, okay, I'll hang in there. I thought the intro with Kylo Ren
was amazing.
Was kind of dark and exciting and like set off a really good tone. I'm like, oh wow, we're getting, I'm like, I don't know about the Palpatine stuff fitting in with what we previously had, but at first I was like, I'll go with it for the sake of just going with this movie. So that whole opening scene was pretty cool. The only thing that drove me crazy was the big stupid hats on the guys that Kylo Ren was killing. Sorry. But anyway, the scene was with Poe and the Falcon and all that. And I'm like, okay, a good
speed
fun.
Skipping or whatever.
Yeah, a little ridiculous with the skipping, but I was like, okay, a cool scene with the Falcon and the First Order's coming after him. We establish there's a spy or something. We got a little bit of cool stuff for Finn and Poe. And I'm like, okay. And then what's almost my favorite scene in the whole darn movie was Rey very Jedi-like, hovering with the rocks around her on that, almost forest moon looking place, and she spins down. She has a really good exchange with Leia, and I'm like, this should have been in Force Awakens, like her training with Leia. That whole first thing, the first 20 minutes, I really liked. And the rest of the movie, for me, almost kind of didn't even come close to the beginning sequences of the movie. I will leave my opening remark at that. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but that's my opening. That's my opening thought on it. The movie did not live up to its own what it established in 100 ways, which whatever we'll get to.
Right.
Steve.
For me, so after the previous movie,
the one that won't be named, like you're Voldemort.
Yes, the movie that will not be named, and a lot of that comes from, again, how it basically ruined Star Wars for my daughter to this day. So I basically, to get into this movie, I did have to get her into a headlock, and you know how hard that is to drive with someone in a headlock fighting with you. So
plus it looks bad for optics for the people watching you drive by them, right?
The child abuse, some people would think, but I went into it not having any expectations in any way whatsoever, and my daughter probably had even less than that. And actually, she reminded me, she fell asleep during the movie. She thinks it's maybe because it was late on a school night, but and yeah, I kind of went into it. I agree with a lot of what everyone's saying here. It was kind of like the first 20 minutes, that whole they jump into action. Kylo Ren fighting all the weird helmet guys, and then heading out to the Emperor, who is a lot. Oh, spoilers! Did we say spoilers? Too bad. So yeah, it and I left kind of feeling the same way. Like, I kind of went in, and everything that happened, I basically treated this film like a standalone film.
Right.
And I just looked at all the 1,000 different scenes and different things going on as just fun scenes, and kind of left it at that. And then I left, and we were like, okay, that's it. And I woke my daughter up, and then I said, well, that's it. And we left.
What about you, Jen? You didn't actually say what you thought about going into this.
So I, we've established that my son hates Star Wars because I'm a failure as a parent. But
Me too.
I drug my son to this because I was like, this is an experience.
I just thought you drugged him. Those are two different words.
Not drug him with. No, I dragged him. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure.
Yes.
Either will work. Either will work.
Nothing illegal happened. But no, I forced him with strong mom words.
Watch this movie, you're grounded.
Exactly. Because I was like, this is an experience. This is a new Star Wars movie in a theater. And when you are in your 20s, like, this is going to be a thing that your friends are going to be talking about, and it's going to be a shared experience. This is going to be a thing. And you can say, I saw Star Wars on opening day with my mother. But, whatever. Like, you don't have to tell them that part. You can say that you saw it.
That's what all teenage boys like to say.
Yeah. And but I was like, this is the thing. So I was really hoping that it would be good for many reasons. Like, because I wanted it to be good, because I wanted it to be the conclusion of this trilogy. And like you were saying, J.J. Abrams, I felt like I could trust him to, lovingly conclude these characters. But then also I had that experience of bringing my son, who is resistant to Star Wars, and and to share that with him too, like, have that experience. So there was a lot going on with me when I went to go see the movie, and I enjoyed it because I am a sucker for like little love stories, not like big love stories. I don't like main love stories, but like the whole Rey Kylo, like a little bit at the end, like that is just the amount of love story that I want. So it's perfect for me.
You're a Raylo, aren't you?
I am. Oh, they're so cute. Oh, you can't tell me that wasn't adorable.
When they weren't trying to slice each other apart with lightsabers, that's pretty cute. Yeah, all
That's
that
what made
sexual
it
tension.
so cute.
It's like that romantic first meeting. You know, when he's torturing her and she's
Yeah.
bonded to a chair.
Yeah, it's just like, what a
Just
connection.
like
How
me
do
and
you
my
guys
wife.
did you meet? Oh, I tortured her when she was locked up in my spaceship. But you know, other than that,
Well, that's kind of why he had to die, because there was no future there. Like, you know, like he couldn't really like have that conversation. Oh yeah, how'd you meet? I was torturing her. Like, no, you had like you share a little kiss, you share a little force transfer, and then you die. And like, you know, and then it's a cute story. But like I said, that's just that little bit was just perfect for me, because that's the kind of thing I like, which is obviously not why I like Star Wars, but this is just that little bit of this is the perspective I'm bringing to you guys as a girl. I enjoyed that little bit of aspect in it. Like, obviously I enjoyed the other stuff, like the Emperor coming back,
We love
and
romance.
the fight scenes and the spaceships and the battle scene at the end and the resistance and Leia. And like, I mean, obviously I love all of the things, but that little bit of love scene was really cute too.
Well, you know what? One thing it at least did, I can understand in the sense that I think people wanted to have more of an emotional connection to these characters, and if anything, that connection gave people something. Like, I
Yeah.
guess, you know, because there wasn't the connection there could have been with Finn, I think, and you know, Poe's just kind of a neutral guy on that. So I think the Kylo and Rey, it was something, you know, something for people to grasp onto. But I don't know, man. You know, and here's the thing too, like my favorite, well, we're talking about lists for movies. I love the finales. Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi are like my, you know, so Rise of Skywalker, I was like, and like Steve, you said, I'm like, that's exactly one of the things I did was I'm like, this might as well be a standalone. As soon as the Emperor, even at once, it's like, okay, it's always killer to see Palpatine and the Emperor, you know, it's just killer because he's badass, you know, but it just never, I'm like, it never worked for me. Like, I'm like, this is so, I could not get around the fact that you guys did not plan this trilogy. And so much of what's going on in here, I'm like, you kind of took the steam away from the First Order to me completely by actually making Palpatine the number one guy. He's like, well, I've been in control the whole time. And I'm like, it just didn't work for me. I'm like, the First Order had some menacing. I actually thought it would have been more interesting if Kylo Ren was indeed completely in power, because he's young, he's kind of flies off the handle. Like, what would have happened in this finale if it was Kylo Ren was truly like on top, and the dynamic was more straight up, you know, Kylo versus Rey or whatever, or had some of maybe the legacy characters survive to face off with him. But and another thing with Palpatine too, like in the beginning of the movie when we first saw him, his hand they show was all decrepit and everything, and
he's missing parts of his fingers.
Yeah, and I'm like,
like,
holy crap, they resurrected him. I'm like, they found his destroyed body at the somehow, and then I thought they actually resurrected him. Like, I know it's ridiculous because their Death Star actually blew up, but I for some reason was like, somehow they salvaged his body and he's undead, and I thought that's pretty sick. But then there was the line of dialogue in the movie where they kind of hinted that he was actually cloned.
Yeah. And then they talk about that in Mandalorian and stuff too to reinforce that.
But you know, that's another thing. Rise of Skywalker, all this stuff, and I'm like, you know, and Todd, you talk about this, how, you know, some of us have read certain EU books and like, well, no, but in the second novel in 1993, they covered that. Oh.
Who cares?
As far as the movies were concerned, I'm like, this is all. There's no backup to any of this, even within the context of the movie. And I hate to say it, like I did enjoy parts of it. I love Star Wars, even Star Wars like this. I still find enjoyment. There's a lot of cool scenes. But I have to admit, even after The Last Jedi, I was with the sequel trilogy. Even after The Last Jedi, I'm like, okay. And Rise of Skywalker, the foundation fell for me. I'm like, I can't escape that. This just doesn't work as a narrative for me.
See,
And
so yeah, I agree. See, from here's now, Rise of Skywalker to me is as a movie, lights and bound better than Last Jedi, but it's the worst story ever told. And all it's the story's awful. It's so random. Everything's coincidental. There's no high stakes. There's no up and downs. But one thing what makes me like it better than Last Jedi is the fact that J.J. Abrams is able to at least make it interesting to view and to watch, where he relationships, like, he's able to tell that story, like Jen's talking about the ending, right? Like, he really builds it up well. Like, even when Chewie, like, there's so much like the stupid freaking Sith Wayfinder. That's just terrible. Like, it just comes out of nowhere, and like the whole tire, like the light speed skipping, just terrible. Like, it's terrible storytelling. Like, so bad. But
you could have chopped the hour of the middle of that movie out.
There's just so much. It just everything's around, like, they have 16 hours to stop it, so they went all over the galaxy doing all these fights and stuff, flying here and there.
This and that.
And in 16 hours, shut up! It's so unrealistic.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, the J.J. Abrams, he pulls off really, really well. Again, I don't think he really had a lot of hands on it. He just got the movie done. Here's a script. Okay, whatever. Okay, like the knife. The knife is a stupid. It's worse than the freaking dice, guys. The knife is worse than the dice.
Wasn't that the best part? I'm gonna. You know what, Todd? I'm gonna have to buy you that knife now.
That set was super cool.
Better,
like the waves and the crash stuff.
Right.
Like, I mean, that was super cool. But like, get them there another way. Like, it didn't have to be with the knife. That was a silly thing. Yeah, I agree.
Stupid. Like, everything's just so like, the story is terrible. But the thing is, when they come back, when Leia dies, and they come back and they say, like, Leia's gone, and Chewie breaks down, cries, like, your heart sinks, right? I'm crying. My dad's making fun of me today but that's what J.J. Abrams does really well. Like, I thought, we talk about Finn. Finn was a waste of a character in the second movie. They really worked with him better in this movie, right? He was much more interesting. I'm not saying like he didn't have much time, but again, he was much more interesting to watch. He wasn't the butt of every single joke. What else? The other part I thought J.J. Abrams did, just the whole entire made everything look cool. Like the battle on top of the broken Death Star, the waves crashing, and then the big lightsaber fight, just cool. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Bringing back Harrison Ford, that scene again, is it great writing? No, but the scene. He captured that moment, them talking to each other really, really well. And
again. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly, right? There's so many. He repeated everything he did in episode 7, because instead of impaling him, he throws the lightsaber away, right? Like, but again, he captured that moment. He made that feeling, which he did really, really well. Again, the story around it's ridiculous and stupid and terrible. Like to me, I thought Palpatine being the end game. Like, you don't see Palpatine at all. He's just a hint. Kylo Ren's following this voice in his head, sort of thing. Then it reveals Palpatine at the end, which would have been much more exciting than giving him away right at the beginning. Like, it just was so anticlimactic, I thought. And then I really thought the ending, when Poe's there in the ship, they just ripped off Avengers Endgame. When you had Captain America fighting, almost dead, strapped on his shield, ready to go against Thanos. He's dying. And I was like, on your left, Captain, right? And everybody comes over. It's like, oh. They did the exact same thing, like, Poe in the ship. Oh, we're all lost. We're going to die. We're all here together. Oh, and they actually just ripped it off from Endgame, except it wasn't well done. It was just so anticlimactic. And then all of a sudden, we're winning now. We're doing really good.
I have words about that climactic part too.
So, Jen, what?
Well, I want to hear Jason's words though.
Oh
no, I'll just quick say this, and then Jen, go ahead. What you're going to say? And Todd, 100,000,000%. One of the huge problems with the Rise of Skywalker to me is, if they had focused more, even like I said in the beginning with Rey, and they show her like in the training and everything, not just that she's training. I know everybody wants to see her train, but and the moment with Kylo Ren and Han Solo, like, there was opportunity for great. Let the characters really drive this one. And on a straight, not that it can't be anything, but let Kylo Ren against all this and is with Han Solo and Rey. J.J. Abrams, here's the one thing I don't like what Abrams does. He's done this in other movies. He's got him running around chasing A, B, C, D, E, F plot points.
It was like a video
We've
game.
got the Wayfinder,
yeah,
the Star Trek. Then we got to run over here to get the thing, and then we go here to get the thing, and then we go here to get the thing to put in the thing to find the thing. Dude, no, this is all of. I couldn't give a crap about any of this. I'm like the whole time. They go on the desert-ish planet, and they meet Lando. A nice little scene with Lando.
Yeah.
That entire thing, though, I'm like, I don't give a crap. We don't have time. I'm like, you introduce Palpatine and Sith and this massive fleet. Give me more of that. Give me them actually trying to fight off this fleet as it swarms across the galaxy, which is what I thought was going to happen. I'm like, you laid out, just like the whole sequel trilogy, you laid out all this cool stuff. And nothing ever becomes of it. Rise of Skywalker once again had a whole toolbox, and it just ran around. And I'm like, no, you got all this cool stuff, and you're not utilizing it as far as character and even scenario. If you're gonna bring in Palpatine and that fleet, then let's see it. Let's have the Resistance face off against this fleet, which they kind of do at the end, even though we barely even see it. All right, sorry, go ahead.
There's a lot of deep dive in here, like we're touching on points here and there, right? But I agree with you 100%, Jason.
Yeah,
but I just thought
at the same time, it's still entertaining. It is. It is. Abrams does make it a semi entertaining movie.
It's like Michael Bay. Michael Bay tells terrible story movies, but they're pretty to look at, right? You know what I'm saying? Like except for Transformers. Transformers got really bad, but like I don't know if you guys seen the movie 6 Underground. It's gorgeous and it's so good. The story's not great, but wow, it's like he pulls off some amazing stuff. And again, there's lots of amazing stuff in this movie that's really, really cool, but just doesn't. Who cares? Jen, so come on, Jen, you.
What I don't. What were you going to ask me, Steve? I'm sorry, you were going to. Say something.
I was just going to say. Like there has to be some positives in this movie before I go into criticizing it. I want to hear some of the positives.
Oh, I'm a positive voice.
There's a lot of.
Well, I mean, I actually have some. I actually have some positives as well, just like the other guys too, right? It's like I'll just say that Abrams made up for the interaction between the three characters that was ignored and not done in the previous movie. And there was a lot of that. It was light and fun, and I kind of like that. Poe and Finn's interaction with each other, like playing chess with Chewbacca. It was like it was almost like it was an ad lib. I'm sure it was written, but they did it so well. And anytime, like they were just like buddies, and they were really good. And it kind of reminded me of the times you would see Han and Luke, right? Which is what what it kind of felt like. But and even when the three of them, and they almost made a point of making about how they weren't separating. Like we were staying together, because in the previous movie, they're just like, no one was around each other. Right. It was like, they were all in different spots in different places. So how do you build their relationships? How do you build their characters when they're all off doing their own thing and not very well? So it was like, Abrams just said, okay, every single scene, they're all together. Like they never separate except, around the ending. And I will say this, I wish we would have had a full movie of redeemed Ben Solo, because how he acted at the end, when he came,
it makes me emotional. Like when he at the end, when he shows up and that whole switch is flipped with him, like it really gets me emomal.
It felt very Han Solo like.
Where'd you get the TIE fighter from?
His attitude. Sorry,
where'd you get the TIE fighter from? He showed up in Hexagon and he had a TIE fighter. Where did the TIE fighter come from? From the wreckage? He built it? Sorry, go on. But he showed up in a TIE fighter. How did he get there? Well, there's a TIE fighter. Oh, okay. Where'd that come from? Anyway.
No, so positives though. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen, I don't remember who did the edit. Somebody did an edit, and it actually, like, I love the scene at the end where Rey is getting drained by the Emperor and she hears all the Jedi. Like I live for that scene. I think it is just beautiful. Like all the voices, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and everything, and like all of them speaking to her. I think that is so beautifully done. But somebody did an edit and put their Force ghosts in it. Like that scene, like they took it and it takes that scene and like turns it up to 11 kind of thing. And it's the most beautiful, and it's on YouTube. And, but it's so gorgeous because like they're all standing with her kind of thing. And like, she's the only one who can see them kind of thing in this edit, you know, but it's just so pretty. Like but even just their voices and stuff like that, it's so like that scene gets me every time because it's like to me, like, you know, somebody who loves Clone Wars, like hearing Ahsoka and hearing Obi-Wan and hearing Anakin and like they're with her in that moment. And so like that to me was extremely, you know, big feels right there, you know, like kind of thing. Like that is so that to me is what a Jedi it's all about. Like having that moment where everything's against you. You know, it's hopeless and not giving up, you know, kind of thing. And like that turning around and like having all of them there with her. And so I just love that moment. So, I mean, even though this movie does have some silly things, like that scene in particular of her when she comes back, you know, because that is the thing with Luke, right? That's the thing that Luke, you know, comes back at the Emperor and says, "You're wrong. Like, I love my father, you know, like I love my friends." Like that's Luke's comeback, right? But Luke doesn't have this kind of moment with the Emperor, you know, like, and that's what she has. That's what she comes back with is that's, you know, she loves her friends. You know, and it's the same story, but it's different and it's bigger to me. You know, it's all those voices of all the Jedi that you love and like history. You know, it's not just Ben, it's not just Yoda, it's everybody. And so like that moment was extra special to me, I guess. I don't know.
No, that's fantastic. Absolutely. And for all my bashing, because it does drive me nuts with this movie. Absolutely, there are a whole bunch of really beautiful scenes like that, and it was like Rise of Skywalker was it was the biggest mixed bag. I know most people would even say the last Jedi, the last movie we watched. By far, to me, this movie is so conflicting for me to look at because that's beautifully said, Jen, and true. It's like it was hard not to kind of get emotion. I felt like it took 2.5 hours to kind of get, and I'm like, I wanted to feel like this. I mean, that's, you know, maybe to not that level, you know, it's in the ending, but you know what I mean? Like, this movie should have been that, like, all the way through in a way, or like, or I felt it was, I don't know. It was a beautiful, beautiful scene and all of that. And I'm like, that did encapsulate the saga and everything. And I just felt like, man, there was so much just stuff in this movie that I didn't care about. And it kind of undermined those scenes to me a little bit. But I got teary-eyed with Han and Ben, like we said before. I wasn't expecting that at all. I had no idea.
Me neither. I thought idea.
That's a scene, really, if you think about it, that we've always wanted as Star Wars fans, right? I mean, Luke going to his father and saying, "They're still good in you. I can sense it," right? I mean, this is like the inverse of that. It's the father to the son. "They're still good in you. They're still good in you. I know it," you know, kind of thing. And then we see it. We see a little bit of a redemption. Like, you know, it happens that the father pulls the good back out of the son for that last little bit, and he goes and, you know, helps save the day. It's just, that's the story that, you know, it's so familiar, but it's just a little different. But it's what we want. You know, it's that psychological, like, this feels right as a Star Wars fan, you know, like that kind of thing, I think. But
one of my favorite parts about the movie, I again watching it again, I still really like the scenes when they're on this desert planet and Rey cuts the wing off of Kylo's TIE fighter, crashes, you know, and then goes, "Rey, Chewie's," and then she that forces the shuttle and it's trying to go away, and then her and Ben are fighting over the shuttle, right? And it's again, this is where J.J. Abrams is really good at building that tension, that thing, and all of a sudden she tries even harder, and then lightning goes out, boom, and it blows up, like, it's just Chewie, and just that terror in their eyes, right? Of Chewie's dead, and I remember in the theater going, "Holy crap, they just killed Chewie!" Like that was Chewie's moment, right? It's like, holy crap. And again, watch again, you still feel that tension when they're going toe to toe over a big, huge transport vehicle, right? It was really, really cool. Like where it's just showing how powerful Rey was. And every movie had this thing where, the first one, they're both doing the Force thing over the lightsaber, right? And Force Awakens, and they did it again, and it just kept escalating more and more. I mean, so that lightning came, you're like, holy crap! Like, there's really something big about this Rey character, right? So that was one of my favorite moments in the movie. There's a few other ones I really, really like, but that's one that really stands out for me, as I really liked how they pulled that off, and just the panic on everybody's face from Chewie, and you thought he was dead, and it was really, really powerful, I thought.
Do you know what I would have liked to have seen? How it would have unfolded from episode 8 to 9. And James has mentioned this to me before. His whole theory after 7 came out, what we thought was going to happen, because it would kind of mirror a little bit of the EU story. But you know how Han and Leia had twins in the EU, and one went bad, one went good, and blah blah blah. I thought it would be kind of cool as well if by 8 Rey went bad and Ben got redeemed somehow, and then it would have made, well, because they didn't have a plan about Palpatine, but it would have been interesting if it was then revealed that Palpatine was the daughter. So then you would have a Skywalker defeating the Palpatine again by the end of it, and maybe even redeeming her. So like really defeating the bloodline of Palpatine would have been cool. But of course they didn't plan past 7. So, but it would have been interesting to see, that would have been one of those twists you wouldn't see coming. Rey kind of turning,
especially
right?
Because Daisy Ridley is so wonderfully wholesome. That wouldn't.
Yeah. It would have been weird.
Well, you had the moment of the dark Rey, which she looked pretty cool, right? Even though it was a nothing scene.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and there's the scene, I mean, in the movie that shall not be named, where they team up and they fight the guards and stuff, and that's, you almost wonder if she's gonna take off with him at the end. Like, I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, oh, is this are we gonna go this way? Like, I remember being like, yeah and so I remember thinking like, oh, is Rey gonna go? Like, you see how awesome she is and how they fight so well together, and like, I could have almost seen that.
Right.
But she's just like, you look at her face and she's just so sweet. I don't know.
And see, that would have been a good twist. And, Rian Johnson could have been all really creative, right? Like, subverting your expectations by doing that. And then she wouldn't be such the fresh face anymore, right? And then at some point, maybe Snoke was still around. He's like, you're useless, Ben Solo. I don't need you anymore. And then he, redeems, and then maybe redeems her at the end as well, while they both kill Snoke, and because he was an actual character, et cetera, et cetera. Would have been kind of cool. And yeah, I just think that for me, the strength of this movie, because I just kind of, like I said, was finally the interactions between the 3 characters.
Yeah.
And that was the strength of it. It was kind of like a long comedy with a little bit of drama in between. And
I also love the return of the mask of Kylo Ren. The mask.
Yeah,
yes.
That was cool.
It just really shows that Ben's dead and it's Kylo Ren. I like, that's one thing I didn't like about The Last Jedi as much, but I really liked the return of it. I liked bringing it back. Unfortunately, a few of the Knights of Ren in there again, they're just kind of random, just sitting there, which they weren't developed, and all of a sudden they show up again. Yeah, but I did like the mask coming back again.
They were like Instagram photos, right? They were like, we're searching for you, and they were all like posed on like ledges and looking really slick.
What do the kids call it? Like his hype something, isn't it? Like it's a hype.
You're the kids. What are you talking about?
What are you you're in trouble.
Are you kidding me?
Like, it's your hype men or something like that. Your
posse. That's from our generation.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But yeah,
I just recently got a TikTok to like follow other people, not to
Whoa.
post. So like I am.
So we're expecting your Star
young
Wars
with pride.
dancing. Okay.
Oh yeah, singing and dancing routine to Star Wars themes.
No.
Oh,
It's better you than seeing someone like me doing it. Star Wars reporter, and I'm doing like a TikTok. Isn't like half of TikTok old guys like me that should not be on there?
I don't know. Like I just like there's like a guy who does these like videos. No, I'm getting way off topic. But there's a guy who does like impersonations of dogs. And then there's like actual dog accounts. And that's what I follow.
What? Oh, wow. I don't want to say anything because then I'll sound like a really old guy, but wow, okay. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Back to Star Wars.
are we still on stuff we like? Are we still on stuff we like?
Anything. The scene with another weird scene that I thought I felt in this movie, just like the casino scene in the movie that shall not be named, was I forget the name of the planet. It's like where Poe.
Babu Frick.
Yeah, no, it was like where Poe meets up with his old gang, and they expose he used to be a spice runner and stuff.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a pointless scene, wasn't it? It was just like, we get to know a little bit about Poe.
But also, we have to get the information from C-3PO's brain because that was something, right?
Babu Frick, right? Isn't that his name? Babu
Frick.
Yeah, the little guy.
Yeah, the little guy, which was like,
hello.
I was on one of these
much better than Porgs.
I was on one of these Star Wars Facebook groups, and I was reading when the movie came out, and there was a picture of Babu Frick, and someone posts it, and they're like, this is the greatest, and they're serious, the best Star Wars character in all of Star Wars. And people are like, really? The best Star Wars character? And the guy's like, yep, I'll defend it forever. The 5 minutes he was on screen. It's like, wow.
I feel like that's a troll account.
So many.
Happens to be.
I really hope so, but man, some people, I don't understand.
See, I have a hard time with that character and the whole entire planet because it was kind of like you said, it's over a stupid thing about translating the Sith, even the Sith dialogue. Like, what Sith text? Doesn't that just seem ridiculous? Sith language. Everything just seems so random. Again, let's go back to the randomness, right? So that's why I really I agree with you, Steve. It just seemed like a useless part. Even introducing that character, what was the point? What was the point of that character?
Because Mark Hamill voiced them.
Well, I meant the female character, whatever her name is, the masked lady.
I thought you meant
like
Babu Frick. We were still
Babu
on that
Frick,
guy. The greatest Star Wars character ever.
We're talking about the whole entire planet scene you're talking about.
Yeah,
Right.
that little side adventure to get the Sith
dialogue,
Right.
which is
another side quest in the video game.
When it was over,
seriously, JJ. Hey.
When it was over, begin. I don't think there's a documentary that Steve showed me last week. Remember Steve? I can't remember who it was. It was breaking down episode 7, but then they also have a follow up.
Micah,
for episode 9.
Micah, we've been following each other forever. Star Wars reporter and him, and he said he was going to show up this time around. So I sent him "We're live," and he just showed up.
Oh, hey!
Hello.
Shout out to I Am Star Wars Time. You can find him on Instagram and Twitter if you want to get into battles with people, but stay on Instagram.
No, we didn't really find out before we dive into this one. Did actually Jen, did she even like the last movie, which shall not be named, Steve? Did you like that movie?
I did. I did not like it the first time I saw it. I liked it the third time I saw it. It took me it was one of those that it was not initially the movie that I thought it was going to be. I went into it and was like, that was wrong. You know what I mean? Like I went into it and was like, that was not how that was supposed to go. And it took 3 viewings before my brain wrapped around it and, kind of, but I honestly, I really I hate the whole casino sequence. I kind of blocked that whole thing out. But I really like Laura Dern's character. I like that whole thing with Poe, and I like that he's, the impatient and not following like that whole lesson and all that kind of stuff that happens there. I think that that's pretty cool.
Right,
and how she sacrifices herself to save everybody. And like, I genuinely like that part of the movie. And I like Mark Hamill. I like how he's become a weirdo old hermit and like, some of those kind of things and like the lessons that has to happen. And I like the fight scene in the throne room with Snoke. And I like, there's so many things about the movie that I genuinely like. And I
defended pretty much all that last week.
You need a lot of defending last week. I felt stupid after watching it the fourth time. I actually got dumber and dumber after every time watching it. I thought because
I genuinely thought it was going to be another Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, so
that's what I went into it. Like I went into it thinking like, okay, the group's gonna split up. Like you got your ensemble's gonna split up, and Rey's gonna go off on her own and seek training from her master, and the crew's gonna go out and have their own adventures, and then they're gonna meet up at the end, and like, ta-da! And then we're gonna go fight the bad guys.
That's exactly what happened.
The one positive
wasn't right. Like you know what I mean? Like it was like not the right way.
The one positive thing I'll say about episode, I will go back to 8, was the fact there's no space horses, which cues us back up to episode 9, because there's space horses in episode 9 that ride down the side of a Star Destroyer.
The ground assault on top of a spaceship thing was fun. That was
fun's a word you can use for it. Fun's definitely a word you can use for it. You can't jam horses, you can speeders apparently. I hated
that whole battle, and I love the Star Wars epic battles, pretty much all of them. I love the epic endings, and that entire ending. I can't put my finger even on. A lot of it was cool. Don't get me wrong, and like stuff Jen, you're talking about the confrontation. Obviously, at the end, that real stuff that was going on at the very end, but the whole battle, like. None of it, I was like, I don't feel the way I feel when I watch Return of the Jedi or New Hope even, or even Attack of the Clones, the whole ending and all that. It just was hollow. I'm like, and one of the big things, again, this may be like a shallow thing, I'm like, Abrams, you teased what would have been the most massive starship battle in cinema history.
Yeah.
And we didn't see any of it.
No, we had Palpatine shooting up lightning and knocking our ships out of the air, which I just thought was again.
Yeah, I mean there was some stuff, but we didn't.
But that was not Star Wars. That's not Star Wars.
Showed up like you said, like Lando shows up, but we are not alone. What was the line? There are more of us, and it was a big emotional thing.
But was it though?
And then it was like it was already over. Like they didn't show the battle.
No, they didn't.
So here's one of the things real quick that we've talked about this before. One of the really cool things about the space battles in Star Wars and stuff like that is practical effects, right? All of the super cool things like the trench run and everything that was done with models, right? And it was so cool, and the immersive cockpit, shots and stuff like that in like the way that all that was done. And some of that was lost in this. I mean, even though it was really cool and even though it looks really good, it's not that. It's not Star Wars. It's not a trench run sequence. It's not
there's a drama to all that. Like there's I'm blanking out on the word. There's a goal. There's obviously
it was not a dogfight in space sequence. It was like
you had to get through levels to get to the Death Star. You had to first get through the shields, and then you had to strafe all the battles had like, they got to get through this and they got to do that. And then there were goals, there were aims, and not that there wasn't, but Rise of Skywalker, like these ships all showed up. Okay, just take them. And then it was the Independence Day. And
it was too easy. Everything was too easy.
And I'm like, and it was, they didn't have the pilot banter. Red 5 is on me, and and like you felt a little, but you didn't feel the tension. Oh man, that whole wing of fighters, they're going in, and they got to get through that one ship, and then they'll take this guy down. There was none of that.
Which the prequels had. Even though the prequels get a lot of crap for their CGI and all that kind of stuff, the prequels definitely had that kind of banter with the pilots and their
born again prequel person, so I'm saying
I love it so much.
I am prequels through. I'm a through and through prequel person.
I know this deep dive. I appreciate the prequels a lot more than I used to. Absolutely.
I love that about you guys. I'm so proud
No,
of you.
You're converted.
My work here is done.
Remember I pitched
She's
this
gonna
idea.
Mary Poppins away now.
Remember, Steve, I pitched this idea.
You grab my umbrella, just Mary Poppins away.
I want to do a deep dive. I thought that Mary, I pitched this idea to you, right? We should go through all the films and analyze and break them down, right? It really, because I remember watching the prequels, loved them. Then after a while, like, were they good? I don't know. Then this is a really good, serious deep dive back in, and you know what? It really opened my eyes to the whole entire Star Wars saga, right? Like, it's been a really, really interesting roll of 11 movies, back to back in chronological order, and it was quite good. And we're talking about the big final battle at Rise of Skywalker, right? We look back, you look at the Solo movie, you look at remember Rogue One, remember how good that battle is on the planet, and fighters, and they did something different to make, again, it wasn't the trench run of New Hope, but remember those GoPro shots on the wings of the X-Wing fighters, it still made you feel like you're in the battle. There was despair. It was on your edge of your seat. You're like, what's going to happen? Where this movie never really, in any of the battles, you ever feel that way. And like Jen, like you were talking about how one thing you loved when all the voices were talking, the Jedi were talking to Rey, and I agree with you. I love that part. When she got up with the lightsaber and was deflecting the lightning back, I just cringed so much. I just thought it was so, again, everything was just so, just kind of just random and just kind of easy, and just I really didn't like the reflecting the lightning back at the Emperor at all. And just even the whole lightning thing, it just seemed like the Emperor was so OP, and then all of a sudden overpowering, and then the sudden was not overpowering anymore. And I don't know how lightsabers would stop the lightning and return. I don't know, just
so the emotion of the confrontation was cool. The physicality of that too. I'm like, this isn't quite doing it, and I'm not going to beat on that too hard. But I was the same way. I'm like, could there have been a better? Could there have been a better way? Though, like, I didn't. But again, though, that confrontation, I'm like, it didn't quite. I don't know. It didn't land. It didn't suck me in. It didn't make me go, wow. It just fell flat, I think. But again, it was unfortunate because, like you said, I had this emotional moment. I cried this afternoon. My daughter was making fun of me. Like I said, when all those voices were in her head, right? She gets up. I was there. I was in the moment, and then I got taken out of the moment again. And then, of course, bringing Ben, Ben coming out of the hole again. Again, I like that little touch too. I got emotional there too, because again, one thing J.J. Abrams did was able to get that personal, that connection sort of thing where you cared about the characters, right?
And Adam Driver, Adam Driver, that's his name, right?
Yeah,
I was like, my brain just blinked for a second. He's fantastic in general. Awesome. Like, I don't know if you've seen him in
He was the only thing good about the last movie. It was Adam Driver.
He's amazing.
But like, we look back at the second movie, Rian Johnson's movie, I didn't care about any of the characters. When Luke died, I didn't cry. How can I not cry when Luke died? At the end of this movie,
you're a monster.
When Chewie remember the lady gets the creature gives Chewie the medal at the end of the movie at Rise of Skywalker, and he gets the medal. He's like again, emotional because it had some impact. He was able to execute. I cared about the characters, where I just thought Rian Johnson didn't.
This hurts. That really. You think
you cry when Luke died, Steve? You can't even mention the name of the movie, and you're telling me you cry when Luke died? Are you telling me did you cry?
I was devastated. Well, no, I was in the theater, and
you were upset and you were disappointed. You were more mad than upset, I'm pretty sure.
We don't have to talk about that movie anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on.
Like, you got through it, Steve. Like,
but the point is, I'm trying to say is, like, one thing Abrams does is he builds up the emotional connection to characters.
Yes. Can someone tell me too how they can secretly build 10,000 Star Destroyers without anyone knowing? I remember seeing a video, and you're like,
the planet
how
is
much
really
resources would it take? Right, like all these resources from across the galaxy, which dry up everyththing.
They all have people on the board. Where do these people come from? And like, even the temple where Palpatine was. No, the actor's name McDermott.
And they're all equipped with the planet killing laser thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they all had like the dreadnought, like not dreadnought, whatever. They all had
to see him out there.
Yeah, right. Jason was like,
in action.
Kill them all, man.
Where'd all these people come from? The temple, the temple, the Emperor's temple. Where'd all those people come from? Like, there's all these
kind of like the religious, right?
People. Those are they were like the Sith fanatics.
Yeah, I know.
Those are
just like the Jedi.
Where they come from,
right?
And that's a huge problem with this. As much
where
as
they come
I try
from?
to suspend disbelief, Well, not just that, but imagine in the beginning. Imagine
Exegol?
if
was that the name of the planet?
Yeah.
Exegol, yeah.
Exegol,
Imagine the
Hexagon.
Force Awakens even. The imagine this trilogy started and there were like rumblings of, man, there's a world that's inhabited by Sith.
Yeah.
And there's rumors, and had that all been planted in the beginning of all this, we would have been like, oh my god,
What
that's badass.
is that in? Is that a book? Did I read a book? Is that Revan?
Book.
What has the Sith planet?
It had to have been because they got rid of the EU, but they keep dipping into it, so it must be.
Yeah, there's a book. I don't know. Somebody
But again,
Google it.
the point is,
But yeah,
it
there's
was
a book.
never.
There's
It
a
was
Sith
all
world.
It was never established on a previous movie, kind of
all
like
fabricated
Dice.
out of thin air.
Does Clone Wars have a Sith world episode? No.
Clone Wars. I haven't seen it yet.
I'm gonna Google while you guys talk because I'm curious now.
It's not Exegol.
So-
there's
It's
that
not
one
Exegol.
world. There's one world where there's like, man, what was that? There was one where there was.
There's
those weird
one
people.
that they end up at Moraband.
That might
But you know what's funny?
Known
Like,
as
you look-
Moraband in ancient times, was the home world of the Sith.
Mm.
But in the prequels, what did Palpatine say with the Sith? There's always two.
Yoda
A
goes
master and a
there. In Clone
Padawan.
Wars, Yoda goes to the Moraband, the ancient homeworld of the Sith.
Okay.
Hmm.
But that's not Exegol. So I knew it. I knew I'd seen a Sith homeworld. It's
But
Clone Wars.
again,
You're just not there yet, Todd.
in context of the movies,
Micah got it. Morbrand. He
Morbrand.
Yeah.
got it.
See? Yep.
Plus, Micah also said previously that he is a
Prequel
prequel
lover.
convert. So
But he said he's a prequel lover. He didn't say a convert. He said,
he said I totally converted.
Sorry, gotcha. I see it
Totally
now.
converted. So I kind of mixed his.
Yep,
So,
got
yeah.
it.
I am an unabashed prequel fan.
Jason, I think Jason was pounding on the same thing.
Welcome to the club, Jason. I love
Jason,
it.
you're saying that the fact that they didn't establish a Sith world before just seems kind of random or something like that, right?
All that stuff could have been so killer, and even like the legend of the Sith knife, and then all those guys. That temple was killer. All the stuff was cool, but again, it was all suddenly, as we know, and like even going into the movie, like we said earlier, like, okay, I'm just going to watch this as a standalone. It's going to be a little bit to take with Palpatine and all that. And I tried, and it just didn't work. I'm like, all that stuff could have been killer had it been established. It was just too much, all of this, to establish in the final movie after all this. I'm like, it just didn't work. It didn't work for me.
What do you guys think of the whole Rise of Palpatine and the whole end scene where she's like, "Oh, I'm Rey Skywalker"? Like, some of the criticism I hear online was they're saying by bringing Palpatine back and then making her a Palpatine, so in the end, Palpatine wins. Like, you know what I mean? The overarching story of him, Palpatine wins. The last laugh is on the Skywalker family. Just because you say like, I'm gonna, my last name is now Jordan because I'm like Michael Jordan's son now because I just said that. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, I think
it was Kylo's spirit that brought her back. Like it was Kylo's life force. So doesn't that make her Skywalker?
I would say
someone gives you
Since it's a Skywalker life force.
You're being revived by a paramedic, and they give you CPR. They don't do mouth to mouth anymore, but let's pretend they do. Are you now part of that guy's family?
No, but I think she feels like she's
I think life force is a little more intimate than like.
No,
I think she feels like she's adopted. Like she's adopted into the Skywalker family. Yes. So I think she feels
Leia
much
and Luke both kind of raised her in certain ways.
Right.
Oh,
so I think
here's the question I also had too. Speaking of, because I was thinking of her, she flies with the Falcon to bury the lightsabers.
That whole bit.
So when did the Falcon become Rey's?
I think
hello, Chewbacca. Hello, what's going on here? Because
I think
when Chewbacca and Finn and Poe have it in the beginning, and it's all burned up because of the light speed skipping that Poe was doing, she's like basically like, "What did you done with my ship?" You know what I mean? And he's saying, "What did you do to my droid?" She's like, "What did you do to my ship?" And I bet you Chewbacca's like, "Dude, what's going on? Like, I don't have a home now." That's my ship.
Wookiee's right, Steve.
Well, that's something to address.
What the hell,
In the
man?
future.
Seriously. Yeah, no, but I think you've discovered like a dark underbelly here of like
Well, Wookiee,
And it's a furry one.
yeah, a dark
Chewbacca-
furry underbelly of the
Chewbacca
Star
said-
Wars universe.
Chewbacca didn't interact with Luke Skywalker for the whole
Property
entire
rights.
7th, 8th movie, right? So he's just kind of a sub character they don't
He just
use
sat
enough,
on the
right?
beach and
Yeah, just like
they're
I'll just wait for my turn. You know, it's yeah. But I don't have a problem with Rey claiming the Falcon. I know she's the one that found it. She's the one that got it working. She brought it to
She's
Han.
the one
Han
that
offered
stole it.
Han offered the
scavenged
job
it.
to her, right? So you know, I think that was to me that made I had no issue with that whatsoever. I'm sure her and Chewie are a team. I'm pretty sure. I know they didn't show Chewie with her, but I'm pretty sure Chewie's with her. That's what I think.
In your heart.
Well, why did he go with her to see Luke? I think they're now the tandem, Chewie and Rey.
That's how I took it too. Like he's the eternal co-pilot.
It's his ship,
and I think they already kind of like established that. I think so.
Even when Lando was
He's gonna outlive her like by a lot, right? Wookiees live a lot longer.
Yeah.
than...
It's like just waiting for the end.
Yeah.
Then it's mine.
When Lando was flying the Millennium Falcon, the big battle, and he showed up, who was a co-pilot? Chewie. Chewie's always a co-pilot. With Rey, he's a co-pilot. With Han, he was the co-pilot. He's never the pilot.
That's because they're Wookieist in that universe.
Absolutely.
I think so. I think you're onto something, Steve.
Yeah.
That's why they always
Wookiee lives matter.
I always find it funny that in the originals they're always like petting Chewie. Like, is that demeaning?
Creepy.
Like they're like, you know what I mean? Like,
no. When Chewie jumped in the shower with Han, that was kind of like, you know. I think,
there was no petting there, but
there's no petting there. It's true.
They didn't show the whole thing, so
But no, Chewie did pet Han too. In Empire Strikes
He did. He's like grooming Han after Han gets tortured.
He was trying to fix his hair. He's petting him, right?
That's right.
Yep.
So you can't say it's back and forth.
I'm all right, pal.
Yeah.
Han Solo.
All right.
I'm all right.
Okay. Jen is recording all the special effects and voiceovers from now on.
Oh shit!
I wasn't looking up, and I swore that was Harrison Ford. Except you weren't as grumpy. You weren't as grumpy, but
I remember Jen keeps constantly impressing me. I must say, with your sounds.
Hey, did you guys want to go through lists right now?
I have a list ready to go. Who's going first?
I made my list as we were talking at the beginning because I was not aware that there was homework. So it might change as I'm reading it.
It was like 11. Yeah. So basically, everyone, we're going to be coming up with out of the 9
movies.
How do you count 12 movies?
Which is, I might have put 2. I don't know what I did.
Okay.
How do you count 12 movies?
I don't know.
There's 9, and then there's Rogue One, and then there's Solo.
And Solo. I don't know what I did.
9
1,
and
2,
11.
3.
Oh, I made sure I counted the holiday special.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I know. I messed up.
So what do we do? So do 11, go all around. We all say our 11, then work our way down.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here is we've all each ranked the Star Wars movies from best to worst, or our most favorite to least favorite, and we're going to read them out now. And maybe if you agree with us, also too, if episode 8 is your favorite, maybe don't comment. But anyways, I'm just kidding. Star Wars is Star Wars. So who wants to go first? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Are we starting with 1 or are we starting with 11?
11. Let's go with 11 and work our way up. You start low, work your way up to the top list.
No.
Okay.
I think we should just why don't you name your whole thing? Your whole list.
Start at the top.
Yeah, 1 to last. Just do that, and then we could abuse you of your decisions and your choices, or agree with you.
Every top 10 list goes from bottom to top, leaving the number 1 is your ultimate favorite one. Usually, that's how top 10 lists work.
Yeah, that's true. But
so
I'll go last in that. Last in that.
Who wants to go first?
You pick, Steve. You pick.
Okay, go, Jason. Go, Jason. Go.
Go, Jason.
And again, just with the disclaimer real quick, and I'm sure I'm not the only one sharing this, this could be different list 5 minutes from now.
See, mine is the same way. Like I wrote this
and
down.
I'm like,
oh, you know what? If I think about this, it could change.
This is impossible really for me to do. I love all of this stuff. But anyway,
I know my
I've
list
got-
changed after doing the deep dive. My list totally changed in the deep dive.
No, that's cool. I'm sure
Because you
mine
like
a
the
couple.
prequels.
So yeah, why don't
All
we do that? We'll start. So the three of you guys do it from like last to first or whatever, and I'm gonna because there's a method to my madness here. So I'll go
Okay.
last and go one to last.
Well, we'll do whatever you want, Steve. If you want to do us first to last, we can do that. Whatever you want.
No. I had something planned, but you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Am I doing the whole list?
Go ahead, Jason.
Okay.
Do your whole list, Jason.
All right. I've got Rise of Skywalker on the bottom, which that I'm actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really.
Wow.
It's sagged under the weight of the whole sequel trilogy for me, which it really kind of annihilated the sequel trilogy.
You don't have to explain it. Just give us your list. It's okay.
Rise of Skywalker is 11 for me. Last Jedi, and then The Force Awakens. Then I've got Solo. Then we move up to Phantom Menace. We move up to Attack of the Clones. We move up to Rogue One. Moving up to A New Hope. Moving up to Empire Strikes Back. My number 2, I've got Revenge of the Sith. And then on top, Return of the Jedi for me.
Nice.
Ooh. So top 3 again, sorry, were what, sorry? Return of the Jedi?
It's Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back.
Whoa.
Nice.
Wow.
I like your top one. But yeah, Revenge of the Sith is number 2.
Absolutely, I
Nice.
love Revenge of the
Wow.
Sith.
Very nice.
Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi. And again, I have no real favorites, but gun to the head, I will usually say Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith are my top 2 Star Wars movies, with little problem saying that. And just real quick, and I'll shut up. I recommend that anybody out there listening to this, if you want the awesome duology, whatever to watch, you're just chilling out, rainy day, Revenge of the Sith, and then watch Return of the Jedi. Watch those 2 back to back. The Anakin and Palpatine movies. Revenge into Return. It's a great couple of movies to watch together.
So this is really interesting. That we're all huge Star Wars fans, and it's just amazing how the list is going to be so much different. Because Jason's list there's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of different. Like the top 3 much different, the bottom is much different. So it's going to be quite interesting. Who's next, Jen?
I'll go next.
Okay.
But my top is pretty solid, but my bottom ones I'm kind of like all over the place. But so bottom is actually Last Jedi. Here's my whole thing though. Here's my whole thing is like it hurts my heart to put any movie on the bottom because they're Star Wars and I love them all, and it's very difficult to put any of them last. But
do not feel bad for The Last Jedi. Don't.
I do because
I'm surprised, Jen. That's a cop out, man. Come on.
I do because I like Solo just a little more than I like Last Jedi.
No, I'm teasing.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, Last Jedi, Solo.
Oh, Solo's that far down, eh? Wow.
Yeah, I didn't. It's not. That's the thing. It's not at the top. So it's.
That's okay. It's okay.
Wow.
Okay. Then, Rise of Skywalker. Because it's hard for me.
That's fine.
Return of the Jedi. I know Return of the Jedi is down that low for me. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Attack of the Clones.
Wow, you think you know someone.
Which I love the prequels, but that one is down low, and I don't know. It's down that low. Anyway, New Hope, Phantom Menace, Rogue One, Force Awakens, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is my number 1.
Wow.
Revenge of the Sith is your number 1.
It is. Then Empire, then Force Awakens.
Kids.
That's cool. That's good.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. I kind of thought that would be. I just didn't realize Return of the Jedi would be so low.
You know what? I could probably shuffle them around and put it higher.
No.
Like it's just it.
Damage is done, Jen. Damage is done.
I don't know. I think as a kid though, like we know when we were going back and reviewing them, like Empire just for some reason overshadowed all of the original movies. To me, Star Wars was Empire. Like I saw the other ones, but like Empire was the one I wanted to watch. And so, like, I don't know. I didn't have as much love for Return of the Jedi. Like, I didn't enjoy that one as much until I hit like middle school. I don't know.
Right.
Like it didn't.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. You know, you've made your point, and you know, no, it's good. Revenge of the Sith, I knew was going to be your number one.
Is my number one, and I'm very vocal about that. I have been very vocal about that for many years.
I love Revenge of the Sith. Man.
Me too.
All right. So Todd, give us your list.
All right, my list.
Better be
11th
good.
place, the last one, Last Jedi, because it's a terrible, terrible movie.
Oh.
I'm sorry. The only thing good about the movie is Adam Driver. Lauren Durham was good too. It's a terrible movie. Everything about the movie's awful. Then for me, sorry, Jen, it's Phantom Menace. And the only reason Phantom Menace is it's terrible writing and overuse of CGI. I'm coming to them as a filmmaker. It's just too distracting. Next one, Rise of Skywalker, because by far the worst story of all 11 movies. It's awful, but there's a lot of good qualities, but it's that far down because it's the story alone. Next one from there is I guess it would be in 8th spot is Clone Wars. Like Clone Wars, it's just that's where it falls in. It's because the prequels aren't as strong. The story got much better. Just again, overuse of CGI animation, which didn't stand the test of time as well as it does now. Next from there is, of course, another prequel movie. It's in 7th spot is Revenge of the Sith, by far the best of all the prequel movies. But again, it ranks that far down just because a lot of politic talk. And I like how the Emperor really manipulated everybody, but again, it still falls really down for me. After that, in 6th spot is Solo, because I really thought the movie was awesome. You know, to me, after watching Last Jedi, it showed, okay, this is what Star Wars movies are supposed to be like, and I thought it was really, really good. After that, number 5 for me is Return of the Jedi. Again, great movie, but again, the fact that Darth Vader turns good, and I know it's a big story arc, and it's one of the best story arcs of all time. I just missed the bad Darth Vader. That's all. Then for number 4, Force Awakens. I really thought that movie hit the mark. I thought it really planted. We talked about it, how it planted seeds. I was really, it made me excited for Star Wars again. I remember leaving the theater going, "Wow, I can't wait for the next one." From there, number 3, Rogue One. We all talked about how good that movie was, a standalone Star Wars movie. Yeah. And after watching it again, like, holy crap, it climbed up my ranks. It was above the middle pack, but after watching it again, it climbed up. And it might be the best one of all of them, but I couldn't put it as number 1. Number 2, of course, the movie that started all, A New Hope. Like, it's the movie. It's the movie. It deserves better than number 2, but it's what revolutionized the whole entire film industry and science fiction movies. It changed the way movies are made. It's such a huge milestone movie. It's huge. And number 1, because it's the best movie by far, story, just everything about it, is Empire Strikes Back, bar none. There is no other better movie than Empire Strikes Back. It's one of the most quoted movies of all time. It's just has a huge impact and amazing, huge twist that no one saw coming. Boom.
Nicely done. And true to what, doing this all these weeks, your list, you were very true to your thoughts on these movies, like recalling all that. So that was well done. That's a good list too.
Yeah. Okay, so for my list, I'm going to do it from first to last, and you'll see why I'm doing it this way. Number 1 for me, Return of the Jedi. For me, as a kid seeing this, it was like the big finale for Luke. He made it. He lived. He's a good guy, and the whole party scene with the Ewoks at the end, and Luke seeing his father redeemed, and the whole thing. It was just it was a little bit of everything for me in that movie. So number 2, Empire Strikes Back. 3 was A New Hope.
Are you listing these in chronological order?
No.
Return of Jedi wasn't first.
Return of Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, New Hope, and then Revenge of the Sith, right? Now, a few years ago, that would not be there. So I've converted Revenge of the Sith, a solid movie. I've actually watched that one movie quite a bit in recent times. Rogue One, I love that movie. It was kind of like that war movie, but in the Star Wars universe. I liked, and I've said this before when we were talking about it, I like the seeing the soldier, just the regular rebel soldier doing their thing, and all the X-wing pilots at the end, right? I really love that whole concept. So, and
I
I'm
think it
looking
was
forward
all
to
like
the
in our
casting
top
series.
5, right? I
Yes.
think
Rogue
Rogue One
One?
was in like it
Rogue
was in
One.
my top 5.
Yeah, Rogue One's 3 for me. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
4 for me. So
And then I got Attack of the Clones. Solo. Solo, and then I had Phantom, The Force Awakens. And
Oh,
here's where it
really?
gets a little-
Wow, that's
yeah.
really far down.
And then the next is the Ewoks Battle of Endor.
you're just not gonna name it.
I'm not done yet. Ewoks Caravan of Courage. I thought both those they were a lot of fun with the family. Okay, then we have Rise of Skywalker. It's so far down because of the confusion of the whole thing. Then we have the Star Wars Holiday Special, the original. And then the other movie.
Well,
I'll say it, The Last Jedi.
Hey,
Yay,
which
you said it
in last
again.
place.
Oh, I guess I should stick in the Clone Wars movie somewhere. No, it's already done.
You could have done
You
that.
know, it's funny, as much fun like Force Awakens on a different day could have snuck up there for me, and honestly, The Last Jedi on certain days. But I have to say, like when all was said and done with the sequel trilogy, it just the failure of the whole story sagged all 3 of those movies for me. Even The Force Awakens, which was a ton of fun, and again on a different day for me could have been higher. But the sequel trilogy, I hung in there with it. You know, like, okay, where other people were already kind of up in arms over a lot of things about it. And I hung in there.
Yeah.
And when all was said and done, I'm like, I just can't. They screwed this up. Like
No.
I don't like, and like it was just a scattered. I don't know.
Mess.
I'm like, I can't. And as somebody who loved, you know, obviously all the originals, like we all do, and loved the prequels, you know, even back then, I'm like, the sequels just don't. They just don't touch all the other Star Wars movies for me. I can't like. So I don't know. Just the sequels were definitely a mixed bag. It was like, you know, but the individually, I even Rise of Skywalker, I've watched, and like we said, I've enjoyed it with a through a different lens. And then though, when we're comparing it like this to the main saga, you know, the originals and all the Anakin story, I'm like, it just doesn't. They just don't touch the first 6 movies.
It's interesting. I just put up Micah's list. He dropped it in the comments, and it's
cool.
Everything seems kind of similar. You know, he's got 5, 4, 6, 3, Rogue One, 2, 1, Solo, 7, 9, 8. Like
that's cool.
It's really similar with
yeah.
what most people seem to think. So
I kind of surprised how low his New Hope is. Again, who else had low New Hope? Was that you, Steve? You had low New Hope, didn't you?
No, I'm not evil.
My New Hope was a little low.
Oh, was yours, Jen?
It was
I had
Jen.
mine.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6. Ew. What was yours, Jen?
Mine was 4th, and Todd, as you said, we could all, in a way,
Yeah.
have a New Hope as number 1.
Yeah.
You know, there
In
was
a way,
nothing
for
to
sure.
replace
If you're
that.
talking about importance and how it changed the world, for sure. Yeah, we can talk about.
Still
just
great
seeing
story
it,
too.
Yeah,
the story's
seeing
amazing.
it as sitting there as a kid, seeing it the first time, there's nothing that compares to that experience really ever. So in a way, it's always number 1.
Yes, I completely understand that.
Yeah,
and agree.
But you're a monster for knocking down that far down. Come on, 6.
Wow.
See, this is what. See, Steve, this is why I didn't want to rate them.
No, it's all good.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Jen. I'm sorry. I respect
I
your
did tell
decision.
you we were going to abuse your people's lists.
This
Oh,
is
it's
tough for Jen.
feedback.
This is tough.
It's feedback. It's not abuse. It's feedback.
Well,
and just
I know
because you're hurt by it.
I know two people that say The Last Jedi, sort of the movie that can't be named, is the best of all of them, which just blows me away. How can it be the best of all of them?
I do not know people like that.
I had it high up on my list after the first time I saw it. That first Thursday night, I walked out. I was like, wow, it was up on my list.
Yeah, you missed that, Jen, last week. I mean, like, whoa.
Yeah. That was,
Yeah.
Well, we did it now. We did a deep dive. We did it all 11 movies. Congratulations, everyone.
Wow. Yeah. So
now what are we gonna do until the Obi-Wan series? That's what I'm like counting down the days.
The Bad Batch is quite good. We can talk about Bad Batch. There's lots of
Bad Batch.
A Book of Fett's coming out before season 3 of Mandalorian are here. So there's lots of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. We have that. We also have we could have some guests on the show coming up. We could also do some fan films that are pretty awesome out there, like the new the Buckethead series.
Buckethead, so good.
Oh yeah.
So good.
That looks so solid. That opening credit that they have with that song.
It's so good.
So solid. And a couple years ago, when they came out with this short fan film, Bucketheads, I got an interview with the creators and stuff. I thought it was, I called them, I said the Bucketheads was like the band of brothers of the Empire. And that's what it feels like, because you get to see what they're doing and talking to each other. And except in the first episode in this new series that they're doing, they kill a bunch of Ewoks. It's quite sad.
Aw. Remember I said how cool it would be to have a series on Stormtrooper's point of view? I remember I said that months ago.
You did say that.
And you know, and I think it'd be something it would be good. And from their perspective, I know it's going to make them look not like the bad guys, but at the same time, it's kind of interesting to see from their perspective. Like it worked for Sopranos, gangsters. They're all bad guys, but they did a whole entire thing on gangsters. I never watched an episode out of it, but I know it's very, very popular. Again, and none of those guys were good guys. So
being
I don't
a bad
know why
guy does not mean you're a bad guy.
Exactly. Just because I'm a bad guy doesn't mean I'm a bad guy.
That's Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah.
Aw. I got
from Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2, I think it was.
Yeah.
Just because
you're a bad guy does not mean you're a bad guy.
I remember that movie. I haven't seen it in forever. It was so cute.
It was Zangief. In their little
the support group for the bad guys.
I love that movie.
And since I haven't talked to Jen in a while, like I've been doing a deep dive in Clone Wars. Man, second season's getting so good.
It does get so much better, right?
The first season was a slog, and the second season,
you just gotta power through or skip it.
And just the storyline, like how one goes in the other. There's one whole thing with Obi-Wan and the love relationship with the princess
Satine.
Mandalore. Like 5 episodes, it looks so good. It's just one after the other, and you just get so hooked, and it's getting really storytelling getting so much better. You're
gonna like it.
I would have left the Jedi Order or whatever.
Yeah.
This whole
it was so sad. It's like all you just say something. I would have left the Jedi Order for you. Like, whoa.
I know. Obi-Wan had feelings. He wasn't. Oh, sorry, Steve.
No, I'm just kidding. I've lost my chance. So,
but so looking forward to the next. I think Star Wars. The prequels aside, sort of the prequels. No, not prequels. Sorry, the sequel series. I think there's a bright future for Star Wars, and I think if they get back into the movie game from the success of their Disney Plus series, I think that Star Wars looks good in the hands of the right people. Right? Obviously, this is Kathleen Kennedy's time to take over. Look what happened. It was terrible, right? So I think they have to pass the torch to somebody else. And you look at Filoni and Favreau and what they're doing. They're just knocking out of the park constantly. You look at Bad Batch. Like, should Bad Batch be that good? It's really good. And it's some great storytelling. Filoni just does it again, right? It's time to pass the torch, I think.
The animation. Yeah, it's... for me, I think the future of Star Wars is going to be streaming service, unless
you don't think Disney can make some money.
No, I don't think for a while, and especially with the amount of money that Disney has lost, because of the parks being closed and this and that, they just don't have the trucks of money to just drop on a massive movie trilogy yet. But right now, I think it's a lot easier for them to do series, right? Mandalorian, Boba Fett, or Kenobi, all that kind of stuff. So, and who knows, original stuff they can do in the Star Wars universe. So it just seems easy, and everyone's kind of, I guess, used to being at home. So for 2 years, but we'll see. But with that, let's not sure what we're going to do for the next podcast, but again, too, we can be talking about the Bad Batch because it is really great. So, but
it is not bad.
But thanks to everyone in the.
Right.
Oh, who's this? What did you say? Hey guys, gonna have to drop out. It was great listening to you guys. Can't wait for the next show. Thanks, Micah, for showing up, and for everyone else that left comments. Thanks a lot. And we will see you again. Be sure to drop by StarWarsReporter.com. Do something a little different. Jen can show us her special, her voiceover work.
I'm not gonna do it again. You guys do it this time.
No.
There you go.
Your dad killed my parents.
Good night.